Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and welcome back to the CoffeeCast ProCast edition. Whoop, let's go ahead and hide that timer from you guys. We are going to be having LiquidRet spawning on the top left of Antigua Shipyard, and on the bottom right, we do have roxkisSlivco. That is kind of a hard clan name to say, roxkisSlivco. We do have these players tied up 1-1 in this best of 3 series from the IEM. Very, very fresh series. It just came out not too long ago. In the first game, Slivco did manage to get kind of a tech upgrade, I guess you would say. I don't know where my words are. He got better units. His composition was just superior over his Zerg opponent in LiquidRet. But in the second game, Slivco did try a very risky 8-pool on cross positions on, I think it was C0ffeecast Plateau. I'm not sure. I don't think I announced the map last game. I believe it was cross position on C0ffeecast Plateau, and ultimately it got scouted before it got all the units got into Ret's base. Ret was able to hold that off and then charge in with Zergling Baneling to win that in a very, very short game in the following match. So we will be going on to game number 3 between these two players. No 8-pool coming out of Slivco here. Doesn't want to try that again. Though you have to admit, in the last game, he really didn't have anything to lose. May as well try a risky strategy because he knows that if he did lose that one game, he could always come back for game number 3, which is exactly what we have going on here. We do have LiquidRet going for a fast expansion here, a 15 expand, and Slivco going for a 14 hatch, not a 14 hatch, a 14 pool, I believe, followed by a gas. So Slivco might be in a good position to put a little bit of pressure on his Zerg opponent in LiquidRet. I feel like Ret might be playing a little bit greedy here, maybe a little bit risky, considering, I mean, it's the ace match here, and I suppose this is kind of a risk-reward kind of system. If this does work out for him, if this does pay off, he'll be in a good position. However, once again, Slivco going to be in a good position to put a little bit of counter pressure on is getting that queen out and mining up gas to get that metabolic boost as well. I definitely foresee a lot of Zerglings coming towards LiquidRet to try to punish this fast expand out of him. LiquidRet really should be laying down some spine crawlers as soon as that hatchery finishes, which should be about the same time the spawning pool does. Indeed, they're both about 20 seconds off. But, I mean, if LiquidRet can do it, he's going to have an economy advantage. We already see him a drone ahead. Not a big difference at this point in time, but it does count a little bit. Slivco, it does look like it's going to go ahead and put down an expansion. LiquidRet is going to see that, however, in just a couple of moments. And now we just have to kind of sit back and wait to see what both these players do decide to do. It does look like Ret is going to go ahead and get a few Zerglings out, just a little handful, and a spine crawler down somewhere. It looks like right here at the front of his base. A few Zerglings of Slivco are trying to poke in to see what is going on, but they will see nothing because Ret is Retty. Ba-dum. Oh goodness, I should not do puns. I should never ever do puns. We do have a Baneling nest on the way for LiquidRet. That will definitely help in this early game defense against Slivco's Zerglings. But it does look like Slivco wants to counter Banelings with Banelings of his own because he is a boss like that. And nobody messes with Slivco because he's Russian. I can't do a Russian accent. I kind of tried and gave up. It was only half-hearted. It just didn't work. But yeah, I mean, not much going on. I guess both players fairly even at this point in time. We do see in the Harvester tab, Slivco is actually just a little bit ahead of his opponent, Ret. But that's not too big of a deal. Both of them producing quite a bit of drones at the current point in time. Neither player really making an aggressive move. Actually, neither player holding this watchtower either. However, that's not too big of a deal, as Ret does have these two overlords positioned outside of Slivco's base, so he will know if anything decides to start moving out. We do have a couple of Banelings being morphed in. It does look like these are just going to be defensive Banelings, however, for Slivco, as 2 Banelings can't really do all that much damage. I mean, it's enough to take out a drone, maybe 2 or 3, but that's not really worth it with a couple of Banelings. LiquidRet once again going to go for this quick third base. It looked like he did this in game number 1 as well, and it almost paid off, except he couldn't quite hold on to it long enough to make it worth it. Kept losing that to a lot of Zergling aggression in the earlier game. Antica Shipyard, though, a little bit easier to defend, I feel, as there are these rocks guarding the back of your third base, allowing you to have nice access. With just a little bit of creep spread, really, defense would be fairly simple. And there's only one attack route in that early game for the Zerglings to run up, instead of just kind of coming up around the backside for a surprise attack, doing a little damage, and falling out. Over here, we do see a Zergling did get into the base, but he did not get far at all. We do have a Roach Warren coming out for Slivco. Once again, saw a very, very familiar build of this in game number 1 out of Slivco. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of roaches being spawned right as soon as that Roach Warren finishes up. We do have a lot of gas being saved up. Just needs to make sure to save up those minerals as well, if that is indeed what he is looking at doing. But it looks like he's forced to morph in some banelings, as there are quite a few Zerglings on the way. Just going to go ahead and check out this third base. They will find a building here. Gonna start wearing away at it, but there is a baneling there. Nice job by Red to take away just 2 Zerglings to kill that baneling. However, it looks like he might lose a little bit more, as there are more banelings coming up the ramp there. Using once again just a couple of banelings to kill off that, take a couple of Zerglings to kill off that baneling, and now running around playing Ring Around the Rosie there around that, and yeah, oh my goodness, killing that automaton mercilessly. That was just uncalled for by Slivco, and now it doesn't look like Slivco is going to be able to defend against that. Very well played by Slivco. Well played by Rhett, too, I do want to add, however, because he did a great job of microing those Zerglings around the banelings. Very, very nice job. Is going to be able to get his third base established, however, because that attack really just didn't do all that much. It doesn't look like we have Zerglings once again going to try to stream on down and attack this. Seeing that banelings, however, morphing in at the bottom of this ramp, decided that it just wasn't worth it, and falling back instead. And with these 2 roaches here, I mean, that really wouldn't have been able to do any damage whatsoever. Doesn't look like LiquidRet still trying to poke and prod a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to work, as it's metabolic boost versus metabolic boost, and Slivco has the number advantage, and a couple of banelings and roaches just for good measure. But it does look like Rhett has some roaches of his own. Actually coming up, might be able to pick off the queen there. Indeed, does manage to take out the queen. It's going to be an annoying little piece for Slivco. Might even be able to get these Zerglings out of the base, and indeed he will. So losing a few Zerglings for that queen, definitely worth the exchange right there. And it's fairly even at this point. I wouldn't really give an advantage to either player, except for the 62 harvesters to the 39 of LiquidRet. I don't know how that happens at all. Were there a lot of workers killed? No workers killed. It just looks like Slivco has just had that ideal composition of units, where he has had just enough to defend and then macro up like crazy. My goodness, that is a huge drone advantage. I don't know what LiquidRet's been doing, but it sounds like he's been taking a nap, just like I feel like doing right now. Rhett is trying to push into this third base. Roaches are there for both players. Rhett does have that upgrade advantage, which makes a huge difference, and he also had a slight numbers advantage as well. Going to be able to do a little bit of damage to the forces of Slivco here. However, Slivco does have that defender's advantage. We'll have 13 roaches spawning in just a moment. So I think that Slivco will be just fine. I don't even think that he's actually going to lose the third base. We'll probably lose both these queens, unfortunately for him. And indeed, so here comes Slivco bringing up his roaches for that reinforcement tower. Killing off the reinforcements of LiquidRet. However, actually not able to quite get enough roaches there to do all the damage that he needs to LiquidRet's army. It's going to be kind of a close call, but once again, I feel like Slivco is in a decent position to defend against this, but maybe not, as he is having to fall further and further back, actually having to pull drones now. And that is not something that you want to do, especially with these roaches having that +1 armor innately. It does look like Slivco is going to hold on, but at what cost? Losing a lot of units to LiquidRet. We have 36 workers killed currently by LiquidRet, and that's going to even up that Harvester tab quite a bit and actually swing it over into LiquidRet's favor. Rhett going to continue pushing on this. It doesn't look like he's going to have enough to kill off the roaches of Slivco. It's going to be kind of a close battle, and indeed there's the GG from Slivco. Very, very well played game by both of these players. I was rather impressed by Slivco. LiquidRet, a very, very good player, and Slivco showing that he can kind of keep up with the best for a little bit. Had such a beautiful, solid game in game number 1. Unfortunately, could not pull it out in game number 2 or 3. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break. I thank you for joining me here on the ProCast. I am going to go ahead, I thought I switched the overlay. I'm going to go ahead and bring us over to Amateur Attack for the evening.